Hi, lovely people. Thanks for joining me today. I've got a few things out here on my desk, and I want to do a flip through for you of this new book before we actually get started on the colouring side of it. Got all my tools sitting here ready to go. So I've only got a couple of you in here at the moment. If you're watching this after this live event, you won't be able to chat with us, but we are having a chat. Sometimes in YouTube, there's the option to be able to see that live chat as it happens while you're watching the video. So if you do want to do that, you can do that later on as well. Hi, Hillary. Thanks for joining us. Okay. I've still got questions going on here. So I'm trying to answer them and get everybody organized with the image before we start. I just want to let you know that I'll make the image available until we finish the color along. So those that come along late, that's okay, as long as you just come and join the group and pop over to the event and put in a request for the image. I can still do that for you up until we finish this one. So I'll leave it open until the end of the 4 weeks. I've made it 4 weeks. I think that will be plenty of time. We may actually not need that much time. It may be a lot quicker, and we may be able to get it done in 3 or 2. So I've just left it open. So if we're not finished, we can go back and finish it another time. Hi, guys. I can see more people popping in now. So I just wanted to, just before we start, I'll go through some of my materials that I'll be using. Now, first of all, you may need a gel pen. So that probably will be used at the end of most of it. I will put some highlights on her lips and things though. So when we do the skin today, I'll probably use that. I've also got an eraser. This is just a weird crappy pen eraser. I've also got the little Mono Zero from Tombow. I've also got a square one of those too, which is for the littler finer details if I need to erase anything. I've also got I'm going to use the Caran Full Blender, and I will definitely use this one a lot. Now look, it's a new one too, not broken. So we'll see how we go today, see if I can break it today. Also, I may use the Caran White, Luminance White, or obviously Prismacolor White, which we're going to be using today as well. And then we've got our Prismacolor pencils. I've got my dusting brush here. This was actually my Nana's. She passed away a few years ago, and I inherited a lot of her art stuff, and this is one of my favorite little dust brushes that was hers. So got that one there. Paper. I've printed this one. I know that some might not be able to get it in America or other countries. I actually use this quill board for my pencil drawings. I do use sometimes on occasion the Mai Tai's, Canson Mai Tai's pastel paper. This is white, and I don't use this really rough side. I do use the smooth side of the paper. I might actually have to do a pastel drawing on one of those one day. Anyway, so they're actually the A5 sizes that I've got here. I've also got A4, and I've also got A3 in them as well. So can do larger pictures. All right. Linda, the image is available through Facebook. I'll send it to you quickly. Hopefully you'll be able to get it printed out. I tried to get everybody who was coming and made sure I tried to message them, but I must have missed you. I'm so sorry. Okay, I've sent that one for you, so you should get it in Messenger fairly soon. Okay, so this one is really special to me because the lovely Heather Valentine has agreed to give us this image for this color along, which I was really excited about. this is the one I actually picked from the book. So I did go through the book and have a look at them all. I think they're all beautiful. It was really hard for me to pick a particular image, but I ended up going with this one. So I will now show you a flip through. Now you have to excuse my video player. Sometimes it does play up a little bit, but I'm just going to share my screen and flick through the book, and I'll be able to answer any questions that do pop up while we're looking at that as well. So let me just organize that. Okay. Okay, you ready? I'll pop it up here now on the screen. All right, so this is the start of the book. I've put it into a little bit of a presentation there for us so we can see it. So the book is absolutely beautiful. It is her newest one. I have put the link for that in the comments here, and I've also put it in the description as well, so you can see it there. So there's some really pretty images. There's lots of umbrellas in this one. Now I'm thinking that's because it's spring and there's lots of showers in spring, so obviously we're going to need our umbrellas. But I really like some of these images and the style that we've got for this one. There's some just stunning images, and I can't wait to color some of those up in marker. So that will be good. And I love the actual flowers too. The flowers are really pretty. So I really love this lovely, gentle looking women. They're not childish or I know that some images we can have that look a little bit, I guess, more, what is it? The style of it, manga sort of style, or chibi style. So these are really pretty. Lots of moons for some beautiful glowing images. I've already seen a few of these colored up, and some of them are beautiful. Lisa, she's done the front cover for it. She's also in our group. Now I've got the dishwasher going in the background here, and I do apologize for the noise. Also, the cat's still roaming around there. Yes, that's there you go. You just heard her. She just answered us. So there's a couple of free images from her other books as well in there, so that's a good thing as well. That's just the grayscale coloring. I think that might be of Lisa's one actually. Cute little farm girl. Okay, so we're back. Now just let me organize closing those windows off and putting the chat back where I can see you guys. All right, so if you haven't got the image, you'll have to message me through Messenger or on Facebook through the event. So just pop a little message in there to say, can you please send me the image, and I will send it to you. But while I'm coloring, I won't be able to send any more off because we'll be chatting and coloring. So don't stress, you will have time to be able to watch this again, because we'll obviously leave this up here, and you'll be able to grab that. I'm just going to quickly check before we start that there's no one else here. I have Robin asking me. Robin, are you in the group? And I can check to see if I can get that to you. I'm just having a quick look now. I'm hoping that I got everybody. If not, it'll be there for you after the live video, so you can still watch along and ask any questions, and you'll be able to come back and watch this after that as well. So, all right, shall we get started? So now I haven't actually decided what colors to use. So we've I've had a look at some Geisha images and found a couple that I really like. So I wanted to try and do a little bit more traditional, but obviously it's not going to be exact. I did see a lot of red and a lot of blue and navies, so I'm thinking to go with that. So I think we'll just get started on the face. So a lot of geisha girls have really, really pale white skin. So I still want to put a little bit of color into it, but she will have a very pale face. So we'll be using a fair bit of white, and we'll use some lighter colors as well. I want to put a few sort of pinky tones into it as well. I'm just grabbing my pencils here. I had them out everywhere from just doing I've just started a Nick Filbert one, and I've had them all out all over the place, so let me just get them organized. Now, some of them are already sharp because I've already just used them. So, but make sure that your pencils have got a nice point on them and you're ready to go. So this one here I've got is Mahogany Red. So I'm going to start with the shadows with this one just to give her white skin a little bit of a pink tone as well. We're going to do her hair dark, so probably black. And we're also going to do some makeup around her eyes as well, so that she looks a little bit more like a geisha. And I'm going to use red eyeshadow. So this is my thought process when I'm trying to find colors. And I'm thinking, yeah, we'll start with Mahogany Red. So I'm actually going to do very, very light pressure to start with. So feather light, not even hardly touching the paper. Now, you might not be able to see it too well in this light, so bear with me and I'll see if I can go in a little bit closer for you. And I'll try and dull the brightness off a little bit because I think that helps with the color saturation as well. Okay, so I'm going to start by doing, can you see that there? Yep, looks like it's coming up fairly good. Just really, really feather light pressure, and I'm just going to go around where all of the cast shadows would be. So a cast shadow is where anything is laying on top of that might cause a shadow on the skin. So just here, as I'm working on this, you can see my shadow is over the image right now. So that's a cast shadow. It's something that's being cast because of an image in front of another, or an object in front of another object. So you can see here on this very edge that we've got our shadow coming over there. So that's what we're actually doing here. So we're creating a shadow from the objects that are hanging over her face and her, skin, hands, and things like that. So I'm just going in and marking those areas out. Feather light, I'm not pushing down at all. Sometimes using circular motion. Doesn't really matter too much here as long as you're not putting any pressure on it. I find that lifting my pencil and holding it further up helps me to use lighter pressure, so I'm not pushing down too much. I want to put a little bit of a shadow here behind her hair there. Just lining that in for now. Really gentle. Just going to put a little bit of a C shape, just it's probably only a millimeter away from her eyes there, just to create the nose a little bit. Just going to curve around the bottom of the nose to create the shape of it. You can do just a button nose if you like and just sort of round it off there and do a little bit of shading just up from there. Now, I'm not sure. It doesn't look like you can see it all that well. Let me see if I can reduce that. Try the contrast. Oh, that's a little better there. So this is not going to be true color because I have changed the camera so that you can see that a little bit better. So those that aren't using Prismacolors, just try to find it is a I guess it's a brown or pink, a really deep dusky pink sort of color, the Mahogany Red. So something similar to that would be okay. Okay. Just putting some little back to front moon shapes there just on the cheek areas. Underneath the eyes. We're going to be putting in some red around the eyes anyway, but we just mark this in for the purpose of marking it out. Let's put a little bit of a dimple in her chin there. A little bit under her mouth there. Just going to line that to get some shape in the chin. Not that we're really going to be able to see a lot of this because it is going to be fairly white, but it's marking it in and you'll still be able to see the contours of it once we've finished. Just putting a bit of a shadow under her neck, and I'm just going to do a little bit of a V there. I'm still using really light pressure. Okay, that's her top, so she's going to have a fair bit of a shadow on her shoulder because her hair's really covering over. So I'm just going to add that in there on her shoulder a little bit. And she'll have a shadow from the fan too. Okay, so I'm going to move down to a hand. I'll try and do all of the skin at the same time. All right. Now with her hand, she's going to have shadow where she's holding the fan. Also, I'm going to put it just underneath her thumb there because it's on the lower point. Just on the edge of her fingers and also in the inside there. I've just done around there. She could actually be wearing gloves, but all right. So that's the Mahogany Red done. Next, I'm going to pick some Rosy Beige, which is a real pink beige sort of color. And we're going to go over the top of this one and just make that one blend out a little bit better. Still continuing to use really light pressure though. So I've got Rosy Beige and we're going to go back up to the skin. My camera's back to front, so it puts me off when I look at the camera. Okay, so I'm just going to go over it lightly, the same type of pressure that we had before, feather light, and I'm going over the top of that previous color. And I'm just going to make those areas a little bit larger. Connected now up above onto the forehead. Just connecting the nose a little bit more. We're kind of bridging the gaps now between the features of the face. So that means we'll start to create some shapes. So I'm doing a bit of a circle on her cheek. Just going over the top of that color and just bringing it a little bit further down to create that shape and depth. There we go. Starting to create a circle on her cheeks. Once we go over this with the white, it's not going to be as prominent, but it'll still give it a little bit of depth so she doesn't just look like a white sheet of paper. So if you've just come along to watch, if you would like to follow along with us, pop over to my Facebook group and join the event in there. The link is in the description below the video, and also it's in the comments too, so you can pop up and have a look at that. So we're just creating these cheek areas now. You can see how very, very light it is. I've hardly put any pressure on that yet. We don't want to at this stage. I'm just marking it out. Just gone underneath the lips. Just put a couple of little lines down towards the tip of her lips. What is that? That angel's peak? No, that's in the hair. Just on the top of the lip there, I've just created a little bit of 2 lines there, and I've left it in the middle white for now. Just very, very, very pale. Going to move down to her neck. Okay, so I've just filled in the gaps there. I'm going to move down to her hand. Get it in the camera. So having these little smaller areas, you just have to sort of make those areas that you're colouring over a little bit smaller than you would in the face. So just going over it, and it's really just a thin line. So you should have a gap still with white in the hand and also on the chest and the face. You should still have a bit of a gap here at the top of the forehead, over the nose there, also around on the cheeks, and on top of the eyelids would be still a little bit white there. So what I might do now is just mark out where I'm going to put the eyeshadow. So I'm going to use Scarlet Red. It is I might just do it on the side here so you can see the color. It is a true red. It's got a little bit more of an orange sort of tone, but it's a nice bright red. Okay, so I'm going to use that Scarlet Red and I'm just going to gently go around the eyes. I'm just going to leave that little gap on the top of the lid there where it's white, and I'm going to smudge that color into those areas. Now on the images I've seen, their eyes are covered and it's like a bit of a circle. Kind of smudges out to the side of her face, but I can't do around the side of her face because there's hair there. Just going to put it on a little bit of an angle there and pop it up into there. So I've done a little bit of a diagonal line across the eye there, and I'm just going to follow that, so I won't go out past that if I can help it. Do the same on this side. Just leaving a little gap on the top there. So we're at the ugly duckling stage, are we? All right. Now I've got light peach. So any light peach color that you have in your brand, I'm going to go over everything now. So I'm going to go over everything we've done, even the red, and just do a nice light coating over the top of all of it, including the hands as well. I really need to move that into the camera there for you. Just lightly going over everything. I'm using circular motion so that I don't miss anything as well. We want to try and cover up all of the tooth of the paper, but we don't want to push down on that yet. The nicer that this section's covered over, the better the next few layers or next layer will be, because we've built up that pigment on the paper. So when we start to put pressure down, there'll be no gaps because we have filled out this first layer. So it will make it more smooth when we finish it off. Okay. I'm going to move down onto the neck. Time flies when I'm doing this stuff. I forget. Obviously, you can see how it takes me a while to do videos for pencil. Now moving down to the hand. You should start to see the colors kind of merging or smooth off a little bit now, even though we haven't put any pressure on. Don't forget you can come back and re-watch this if you don't have time or you feel that I'm going a little bit too fast. Also, when you watch it back, you can change the speed as well. I will pop a list of colors that I've used in this video. I'll pop that in the description of this video when it's done, and I'll also pop it in the event as well, so you'll be able to see those there. I'll also have a think about what colors we're actually going to do the clothes and see if I can give you a list of that before next week as well. All right. Now I've got my white. So if you don't have Prismacolor, you could use the Caran Luminance white, or any other white that you've got that you use. This one's really nice and soft. Just cleaning it off because it's got some pink on the end of that. From my Molly Harrison image that I'm working on at the moment, for a colour along with the Heart Gallery group. Bit of a got it. Okay, so I've just cleaned it off by wiping it up on my board down here. Now I'm just going to go in with that. I'm going to start in these middle areas. I'm still using fairly light pressure. I don't want to put lots of pressure on yet. I want to make sure that it looks, the colors sort of look good and sit in well before I go in and put more heavy pressure in. Just dropped my pen. Oh. Hi, Shadow. So if you guys haven't listened or watched any of my videos, this is Shadow. She's our Bengal cat. So I'm just going in and I'm just putting in, as I said, it's not heavy pressure. I'm still using fairly light pressure here. And I'm just going to go in and start to smudge out some of these areas. So I'm hoping that this red here will blend nicely into the rest of her cheek. So I'm going over the top of the red as well. I'm just going to continue using that pressure and continue going over it until I think that it's smooth and it's got enough covered. So by doing light pressure with multiple layers, you're gradually building up the color on the top of the tooth of the paper. So I think that's really starting to smooth off, and I think that that will look good once we've done. Just starting in the light sections first, moving out. So if you have to clean off your pencil, make sure you do that too, so you don't smudge that color into the lighter parts. That's not too bad. Starting from the lighter sections and moving out. Now, we named our cat Shadow because when she was a kitten, she didn't like to be held, and I think it's just one of those things with Bengals. They're very picky. She still now doesn't like to be picked up or carried around. It's just one of those things. But she used to follow us everywhere, so we just called her Shadow. She still does now, follow us everywhere. And of course, when I'm recording videos, she thinks I'm talking to her, so she always has to have a chat. So you'll start to see as you're going over it that the white lines will start to, sorry, the black lines will start to get color on them. That's fine. I'm actually going to try to cover those up a little bit as we get to the next layer so that it looks a little bit more realistic. Make sure when you're near the light and dark areas that you move out from the lighter area towards the dark so you don't smudge that into the light area. Okay. Okay. So I think we've got a good color match, and I think that once we do this in heavy pressure, we're going to get some nice rich colors in the eyes there, and she'll still look quite white. Just going to move down onto her neck. And onto the fingers. You don't have to work on them like I am. You could do the face, then the neck, then the hands. It's up to you. All right, now we're going to do firmer pressure. So I'm going to use medium pressure here, medium to firm. And I'm going to go back in with that Mahogany Red or whatever color you used at the start for the shadows. And I'm going to redo what I did before, but as I said, a little bit firmer now. If you want, just before I do that, I'll just bring it out a little bit so you can see it further back, because at the moment it looks quite ugly duckling, I think we were saying. Back in again. Make me dizzy on camera. All right, just going in now with firm, medium to firm. I'm just going to try and go over those black lines. I'm just going to do lighter pressure above the nose area here, but I still want some of that colour in there. There's still a bit of tooth coming through the paper too, so I haven't pushed down so much that it's really shiny and smooth. There is still a bit of tooth there because when I bring the next colour in, which was the Rosy Beige, I want the Rosy Beige to fill out the rest of that white area so that the two colours blend in nicely together. If you have trouble with the nose shape, don't try to put in the bridge of the nose sort of area there. Just do a little sort of button nose like that where you can sort of get away with not having too much shape up here further, and just sort of blend around that if you have trouble. I just kind of look at the eyebrows and then the edge of the nose and try to sort of do a bit of a C or moon shape there, and the same on the other side. It's a little bit harder because her hair's in the way here, but that's kind of going to be covered over anyway because it's a bit of a shadow from where the hair is laying. Just kind of go over the lines a little bit there. Just gently follow the lines of the hair. I'm just trying to cover over those black lines still. Now we didn't go quite down that far when we did this part, but I'm just going to go over it with that colour just to get that um, edge of the black there a little bit lighter, and we'll colour that a little bit more skin coloured. You need to move your paper around to get the right angle. Make sure you do that as well. The eyebrows are going to be black, so I'm not going to go over them, but just did under them there. Coming back down to the hand and just redoing that. Okay, so now I've got that Rosy Beige again. And I'm going to do the same. So medium to firm pressure over the previous color and then extend it and make that a little bit larger so that we're starting to fill in the gaps of the skin now. So you should be able to see that Mahogany Red starting to really flatten off now. And I will try to do it a little bit firmer over those areas and then lighten up my pressure as I come further out again so that the next color will go over it nicely. So we want to sort of leave some gaps in this color as well as we did with the darker color so that we can blend that off nicely as well. So we're just talking about the printer doing it on print save mode. I find if I do my images on print save mode on this particular paper that the ink actually starts to smudge off as I move my hand on it, which is a little frustrating. But yeah, you don't have to print it as dark if you want to go over those lines. I'm going to continue to create those cheek shapes with this one. I'm using medium pressure under those cheek areas because we want to make them still prominent, but we don't want them to stick out too much. And we want that next color to go over them nicely as well. We're just trying to create form and shape in the face. Even though she's going to have white skin, we still want to be able to see that she's got a rounded face. Okay, moving down onto the neck. So she's still looking quite ugly, isn't she? But we will be filling that over and she'll be mainly white. You won't be able to see all that. Filling in the neck now. So I'm doing firmer pressure over the previous color and I'm lightening up my pressure as I come further out so that that next color will blend over it nicely. Once we've finished up here today, you may want to go back in and just soften some things off or darken areas up if you're not quite happy with how deep or how light it might be. So you can go ahead and do that fixing up later on. Sometimes I quite often will go over with this second layer and then still come back in with a third layer because I'm still not happy with how it's come out. So because I haven't put too much pressure down on the tooth of the paper still, I can still usually do that. Also too, sometimes going over it with the Luminance, it gives you the ability to be able to go over it a little bit more as well. I'm happy with that now. Just going to move down to the hand. So just talking about different paper types there, I just did a video for patrons on Patreon. If you want to check out my Patreon page, you can do that. It's in the description below. And we just did markers and paper and how markers work on different papers. Yeah, I'm going to need my brush because I got some dust coming off. Now I've got my peach, the light peach again. And we're going to go over everything. So in these lighter areas, I'm going to try and keep that pressure fairly light still because we want some white in there as well. And I'm going to do firm pressure over the rest of it. So we'll get a bit of dust now because the wax is starting to build up. Hopefully if you haven't put too much pressure on, you'll still have a little bit of tooth and there won't be much coming off. So I can still see a small amount coming off mine, but it's not too bad. Just going to miss the red areas there with this one. Maybe just put it on top there a little bit, but going to mainly go over that with white. So you shouldn't see any lines. It should be starting to get nice and smooth now. The only area mine doesn't seem to be smooth on this side is the lighter sections and on that red. Turn it on my side a little bit there so I can see it a little bit better. I really quite like the color that it is now without the white. Just going to move down into the neck. Once the video is finished, if you do have any questions, ask in the event and I'll try and get the answers to that. As I said, I will put the colors that we've used today in there as well, and I'll try and have a look through and see if I can figure out which colors that we might be using for the next section so I can get them up before next week as well. If you've just come along and you don't have the image yet, come along to the group and join that event, and I will send that to you for next week, and you can probably catch up before then as well. Just moving down to the hands. Looks like we're only going to get the skin finished today. That happens. The hair should be quite simple because we're doing it black. There's not a lot that we're going to do. We're just going to fill in the white space. All right, so now I'm going to come back in with the white, and I'll start with the hand since I'm down here already. I'm just going to go over with firm pressure over the whole lot now. You'll get a bit of dust now, lifting up some of the wax from underneath. I'm going to move up now to the chest. Just filling that. Start with the white area and move out so you don't smudge in the darker colors. So down here is not looking as pale. However, because there's a lot of shadow in here, it doesn't matter. We want that to be a little bit darker anyway, just to show that there's depth in there. Now, with the white, if you'll find, I'll actually just show you on the chest here. With the Luminance white, this actually covers more opaquely than what the Prismacolor one does. So you will actually get it a little bit lighter if you were to use this one. So that's lightened that off a lot by using that one. If you aren't getting a smooth blend, try a different paper for sure. So then as long as it's got, so my paper's like, it looks smooth and it kind of does feel a bit smoother, but there's still a tooth on it. So you do need something with a tooth. Otherwise, you won't be able to collect the color or the pigment on the paper and be able to manipulate it and, blend it in like we have here today. So if you're having trouble blending or it's not going on well enough, you may need a different paper. Also, too, you may need to go a little bit lighter with all of your layers. So don't be too scared to do light, and light layers. So don't put any pressure on and just do light layers because it will gradually build up to what we've got here. Now, with this white, I'm going to use the Luminance white now for the face because I want that quite light. But over the red areas there, I'm going to leave those. I'll do those with the Prisma white because I don't want them as white. I want them to sort of stand out a bit more. So I'm just coming in now, starting with the cheeks. I'm going to go up a little bit under the eye here, but on the top of the eye, I'm going to do that with the other white. But we want to lighten all of this off now. So I've got firm pressure. You can probably see my camera bumping there. You can see the pigment coming off, the wax building up and coming off from underneath. There's not a lot though. Making sure I go into the darker areas to lighten them off and smooth them off as well. Okay, I've got my white Prisma. I've got the Scarlet Red again, and I'm just going to come in and just do it a little bit darker in these shadow areas. So where the lines have already been marked out, I'm just doing it a little bit darker in there. Just smudging that back out again with that white. Gone off the page. Got some Crimson Red, which is another darker red. I'm just going to do her lips. I'm going to round off the tops of the lips because most of the images I saw, their lips were kind of, right in the middle of the lips was red. Just like that. I'm going to use a little bit around the eyes. So this is Crimson Red. Light layer up there and around there. I'm going to smudge that light layer back in again anyway with the white. So white again now. Don't need to put pressure on now because the pigment is just gliding over the color because it's nice and flat now. We're just adjusting the tone and the brightness of it now. Once you're happy with the color of the eye, so the eyeshadow areas, that looks quite strange now. I'm going to come back in now with the black and just deepen up all of these black areas. So her eyebrows, I'm going to do black. Her eyelashes will all be black, so this will all stand out nicely. Make sure that you finish before you use the black because the black will smudge if you've got to go back over it again. I'm just kind of giving the eyebrows a little bit of a rough look so they're not so smooth. Really dark this up here. And on this side. And we're going to fill out the eyelashes. So I'm just sort of doing down strokes. Don't worry about the artist drawn lines. You can just build them up into your own. Just put a little bit of black up into the corner of the eye there as well. Careful with this when it peels up or there's dust, don't wipe it off with your hand because the black will smudge. Now I'm also making the hair black as well. So with these hairs over her face, we can now define those and fill those out with the black. Going over it just so that they don't look dusted off like they do now. With paper, we're just talking about paper still here in the live chat. Some art shops will actually give samples. So if you are near a local art shop, go and ask them if they've got samples of paper that you can try, and see what they say. I know that I've done that with watercolor paper before. Still testing it out, wanting to try a few different types. Now, with the Mahogany Red, I'm just going to go over those lines again, just carefully, just to get rid of that faded off look that the white gave them. Make sure your pencil is nice and sharp too. We're going to be doing a dark black line on the hairline anyway, but I'll just mark it there for now. Yep. I'll move back out again so you can see that a little better. I'll just darken up the hands. Okay, let me move out. And I'm just going to change that color again so that we can see it a little bit clearer and a little bit more true to color. All right. So how's that look? So a couple of things have come up. I've saw that paper is a thing. Again, I'm using this one at the moment, the quill board. At the moment, I've only ever found it in Australia. I'm sorry, I don't know overseas if you can get it anywhere. This one I do know you can get everywhere. This is an older pad. The newer ones are a little bit different to this, but it is the same paper. It's just, it's My Time's pastel white. So it's pastel paper, which means that this top layer is actually quite rough. It's really hard to see in this light, but it's actually got, let me see if I can zoom in for you. There we go. I've just changed the brightness of the video there so you can see that there's ridges and ripples in this one, and that's because it is pastel paper, so it's designed to have dry pastel done on it, but I actually used the back of it, which is really quite smooth, and it's very, very similar to the texture of the quill board. The other thing is too, if you have a look there, the different colors, this is sort of a white, but it's not bright white, whereas this one is bright white. So they're slightly different in color as well. It doesn't really change the color of the image. I do find though, however, if you're using grey or tan tone paper, that your Prismacolor and Polychromos and things like that will be a lot brighter on it because of the tone of the paper. But I know that a lot of people use Strathmore Bristol Vellum, also Strathmore tan tone and grey tone paper. So any mixed media paper, you just may need to be a little bit more gentle and a little bit softer on layers if you're having trouble layering up. I do find though, like for example, the Jasmine Beckett paper, I struggle to use any pencils on that because it's just strange. But some paper in books is really good. So it depends on what books you get, and it depends on where they come from. Obviously, Amazon paper is no good at all. We've all used that. It's too thin and really hard to use, and you can't layer or anything on it. So yeah, just as I said, try and see if you can get some testers or buy smaller packs of paper to try them. I tried quite a few different ones before I found the quill board. And the quill board has actually changed packaging twice since I've been using it, so they do change things up a lot. I also tried some Canson cardboard from my local craft shop as well, which is slightly different to the My Times paper. It is a lot thinner and it's a lot smoother, but it still has a bit of a tooth that you can grab as well. So there's lots of different types of paper. My thing is, don't stress about it. Try it. Do some tests. As I said, buy smaller packs and try them if you're not sure. And then if you find something that you like, then you can sort of buy up in bulk, because obviously it's cheaper usually to buy in bulk as well. I actually don't color in my coloring books either. I always print them out, and I try to buy digital where I can, because then it's a little bit easier for me and I can print it in the darkness that I want it in, or if I want it lighter and things like that too. So just have a think about that too when you're buying a book next. Maybe it might be better to buy it in a digital if you don't want to do it in the books as well. Now, I don't think I have anything else that I really wanted to say. If you've just come along or you're new and haven't seen these videos before, pop over to our Facebook group and join the event. We will be doing this color along for the next few weeks. So every Friday morning for 4 weeks at the moment I've set it up for. That's Friday in Sydney, Australian time, so that you know. And I don't think I have anything else I need to say. If you have any questions, please do ask. Also too, in the event, come over and ask there. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Make sure you click on the little bell if you want notifications when I upload new videos. I am going to schedule the next 2 events, so they will be there, and you can click on those once I've scheduled them, and you'll be able to get a notification when it goes live as well, so you can do that too. And I think that's it. So I'm just waiting to see if there's any more questions from you guys. I really love that you guys have come along, and I love that we did a bit of a poll in the group to see what to do next. And I think majority of people picked Prismacolor, so I'm doing Prismacolor for this one. I think the last color along we did too was Prismacolors, but that's okay. We she was a Asian girl too, I think. Manga. But yeah. Any questions? I'm just hanging. I've seen. Thanks so much, Hillary. Thanks everybody for coming. If I don't know you, who you are, or your screen name, I can see Linda, Robin, Loretta, Hillary. I'm not sure who the other ones are that I can see, but thank you so much, guys, and I will see you guys next time. And in the meantime, enjoy and make sure you ask questions, because when you ask questions, you'll get better answers and you'll understand things a little bit better too. All right, guys, thanks so much again.